necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into a Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We definitely hope that you had a wonderful weekend. I think all of our sports teams in the YSN family did. It was a great weekend of sports. We'll talk about that today, and we have a big day, Ty, because we are releasing the 2021 All YSN teams and Postseason Awards for volleyball.
Yeah, and that'll be exciting too, as we know volleyball season coming to an end. We got postseason ready to start. It's going to be an exciting time for all sports now.
We also have Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley winner this week, Brooke Talbot, joining us at 1:45 from Beaver Local, so don't miss that either.
Yeah, exciting to get our big dogs on again, as Beaver Local came out on top yet again, and very hard to take down. We'll have to see who's going to be up for the challenge.
Are you not surprised? I mean, this is like the Jim Nantz call when Tiger Woods hit his putt. Expect anything different?
Yeah,
because
honestly,
when it's on that list, it's go time.
They do a good job with it. They really do, and they showed up yet again. And congratulations to Brooke for winning Big Dog.
So we'll be talking to Brooke at 1:45, and we'll be talking to Shane Lindstrom tomorrow at 1:30, the Baird Brothers Big Dog football winner this week from South Range. So exciting things to look forward to. But without further ado, Ty, let's get to this list, right? Because everyone is tuning in, trying to see who's going to be on this all YSN team and who's going to get the postseason awards. Let's start with the first team, all YSN, and we start with Lucy Montgomery out of Crestview. Lucy went for 237 kills this year, 181 digs, and 236 assists. Triple-double machine for Lucy Montgomery. And by the way, I want to preface, these are in no particular order. These are just, straight up the way in order I wrote them down. So it's not like, top of the list. I was the first all team. It's in no particular order. So I don't want people to get that twisted. So Lucy Montgomery is first team all YSN. Once again, 237 kills, 181 digs, and 236 assists. Plenty of triple doubles with those kind of numbers. Someone that filled up the stat sheet in each and every category.
Yeah, and that's the type of player you love having on the court. And I mean, almost a part of the 200 club in 3 different categories, just shy in the digs category, but nonetheless a very
time too.
Yeah,
it has time. These are not final stats because the season is still going for all these teams.
Yeah,
Grace Hour, her teammate, is also first team all YSN. 219 kills, 202 digs, and 386 assists. So another player in the 200 club for all of them, in the 300 club for one of them. Grace Hour doing a lot of good things for Crestview. Like Lucy, a lot of triple doubles on the year because she fills up the stat sheets in kills, digs, and assists.
And having 2 players like that on a team is absolutely dynamic, and you could see why in Crestview's record.
Crestview ended the regular season undefeated. Our next member of the first team all YSN volleyball crew is Lauren Pallone, almost undefeated, 21-1 for Girard, 413 kills, 207 digs, and 68 aces for Pallone. 413 kills, that's impressive, and she got her 1,000th career kill as a junior.
Yeah, that's impressive, and we know that she's still got a whole nother year of eligibility left. Talked about her a little bit last week too, and how impressive that is too. As a junior to already have 1,000 kills, and she racked up a good majority of them this year.
Yeah, and once again, Lauren Pallone, these stats are in final, which make it even that much more impressive. She has a chance to probably get to 450 before the end of the season as total kills. Brie Littell, her teammate, is joining her on the All-YSN first team. 297 kills, 234 digs, 63 aces. So other than the kills, almost identical numbers to her teammates. I mean, just a little bit below in digs and only 5 less aces. But another player for Girard that has been so important to that almost undefeated season, I should say. And Brie Littell, almost 300 kills, probably will get there before the end of the tournament run.
Yeah, and there's no doubt Brie Littell is the perfect other piece on that team too, as part of the two squad attack of having just top kill getters on that team. I mean, she is part of that dynamic duo over there with Gerard, and no doubt that they are impressive and fun to watch, both of those two. When
I was going to say dangerous duo. I like dynamic a little bit better. Good call, Mr. Bartel. Abby Householder out of Canfield is next on the first team All-YSN squad. Check these numbers: 468 kills, 348 digs, and 28 aces on the year so far for Abby Householder. She does have 1,000 career kills. She got that, and she is a future YSU Penguin. Impressive numbers from Householder.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had an opportunity to see Abby a couple times this year now, and both times that I saw her, I think she was very, very impressive too, and that was going up against some tough competition. So no doubt Abby Householder definitely, with those kills alone, deserves to be on this list.
A bitter rival is right behind her. Jocelyn Jordan gets on the first team list out of Fitch. 316 kills on the year so far for her, 188 digs and 24 aces. Impressive numbers for Jocelyn Jordan, especially considering it's her first year as an outside hitter.
And especially in that dig department, coming just a little bit shy, still has time to get in the 200 club. But that's one of those areas where we've really been impressed seeing Jocelyn Jordan really take strides and getting a lot more, I feel like, digs this year. And I think moving to the outside has definitely helped. But we felt like once she moved to the outside, kills were going to go up. And it wasn't just the kills that went up. Everything, it seems like, went up in production-wise. And Jocelyn Jordan firmly and deservedly gets a first team honors.
The most impressive number that went up, and I apologize for not writing it down. I was in a hurry to get all these stats, but her hitting percentage has went up. And that's something that you really are impressed with, considering that her sets, she got in set a lot more than she did last year, and her hitting percentage still went up. So that's probably the most important stat for an attacker, is how efficient you are with your swings. And Jocelyn Jordan really raised the bar in her hitting efficiency. Next, from Beaver Local, we've talked to her. Grace Hill gets on the first team All-YSN list, 289 kills, 49 blocks. That's a big block number for Grace Hill and the Beaver Local standout.
Yeah, that's huge for Grace Hill, and we know what Beaver Local has been able to do in volleyball too, and they pride themselves on that net defense a lot. And you'll get into some long volleys, and that's what Beaver Local is hoping to do, because they know most times, rather than not, they have the stamina to go long into those volleys, and they usually come out on top. So good net defense again, and it proves once again why Beaver Local is so tough to beat.
You know what's great about the rest of her squad? I mean, the stats for the rest of her team so evened out that there's not a lot of players that stand out with big numbers. It's just, 3 or 4 players with 100 plus kills, 3 or 4 players with 100 plus digs. They really are a balanced attack, and one of the reasons why they're so successful.
Yeah, and they're very, very tough to beat because of it too. But there's no doubt 49 blocks is still very impressive. You're averaging over 2 a game at that point.
And over 250 kills to this point. Next, another bitter rival, Kyle White from East Liverpool joins the Beaver Local player for the first team All-YSN. 293 kills for White, 40 blocks, 91 digs, 21 aces. East Liverpool's really their superstar that you would say gets on the list. Impressive numbers from Kyle White.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, Kyle White's one of those just means of production type of players, and you see her producing in a multitude of categories, and no doubt for the Potters, a well-deserved first team selection.
40 blocks, but also almost 100 digs. So one of those players that's rare to see someone that excels in blocking and back row defense. So that's impressive too, because usually if you're good at blocking, it means you're pretty tall, which isn't the greatest body structure for the back row getting digs. But Kyle White kind of breaking the mold and getting almost 100 digs. And once again, East Liverpool still has tournament games to play, so she could very well get to 100 before the end of the season.
And that would definitely be huge for her, I think, too, accomplishment-wise. But we'll have to definitely tune in and check out the volleyball games around the area.
Presley Stokes from Wellsville is next on our list. 317 kills for her, 30 blocks, 204 digs. Another player like Kyle White that is doing it in the front row with their defense and the back row. And a pretty solid kill number to boot.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And I mean, Wellsville is a very fantastic volleyball program, and there's no doubt Presley's been one of the reasons why, especially this year. You see her highlights all over our pages, too. DJ's had some great calls with her as well, too, and with good reason, too. It seems like every time she steps onto the volleyball court, it's showtime.
Alana Amano from Wellsville also makes the list. 277 kills for her, 138 digs, and 35 blocks. So 35 blocks for her, 20 blocks for Stokes. That's a good tandem to have at the net.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's like a double-A battery. She energizes the entire offense. She does a fantastic job. So Alana Amano, absolutely deserving of being on this list.
Next on this list, a member of the MVAC champions on the Scarlet tier, Olivia Hughes gets on the list. 259 kills, 246 digs, and 78 aces, which I don't think anyone on this list is going to beat. 78 is a big number for service aces, and that's one of the reasons why she gets bumped up to first team.
Yeah, absolutely. When you average that many aces too in the serving department, as well as having 200 plus in multiple categories, I think you're definitely deserving of making a first team.
You add all that to the fact that you led your team to a conference championship, that gets you on the first team list. Tara Lytle is your last member of the first team All-YSN volleyball team. 313 kills for her, 44 blocks, and 29 aces for Lytle out of Lakeview.
Yeah, and it's been a very impressive Lakeview team at that. And when you see what Lakeview's been able to do, even though coming up with bumps in Girard, they've been able to kind of curb the momentum and keep it rolling in their favor and give themselves a strong chance going into this tournament. And there's no doubt that Tara Lytle has been a huge part of that.
So real quick, we'll go through the list again for your first team All-YSN volleyball team. Congratulations to the members. From Crestview, Lucy Montgomery and Grace Auer. From Girard, Lauren Pallone and Brie Littell. Abby Householder from Canfield. Jocelyn Jordan from Fitch. Grace Hill from Beaver Local. Kyle White from East Liverpool. Presley Stokes from Wellsville. Alana Amato from Wellsville. Olivia Hughes from Western Reserve. And Tara Lytle from Lakeview. That is your first team All-YSN volleyball members. Congratulations once again. And now we'll move on as Ty has exited the building. We'll try to get him back real quick, but we'll move on to the second team All-YSN. Once again, in no particular order, these are just the names as they come out. So Gianna Constantino from McDonald gets on second team. 226 kills for her, 250 digs, and 35 aces. A very well-rounded player out of McDonald and a team that only had 4 losses on the year. Constantino leads her team in kills, and she gets on the second team list.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the second team now too, these are definitely players that still served huge roles in their team's success. And there's no doubt too that McDonald's one of those teams that are gonna be sneaky, I think, in the tournament.
Yeah, don't let second team fool you. I mean, these are still the top 24 players in the area of a very good volleyball, talented, riddled area of this Northeast Ohio region. Maggie Pavlansky is on second team. 451 assists for her, one of the best setters in the area. 160 digs and 81 kills. She's a very aggressive setter when she's in the front row as well. It's a high kill total for the setter. She gets on the list as second team All-YSN.
Yeah, and I mean, still a chance to still get to the 500 mark in assists this season, and that's impressive too. But still, 450, nothing to scoff at. That is a huge assist number, and that shows that you were prolific in a centerpiece of an offense.
She can add 1,000 assists to her career. She notched that this year, as well as the Baird Brothers Big Dog nominee. She was on the list a couple of weeks ago. Another Big Dog nominee this year. Angelina Rotuno from Mooney gets on. Wow, these assist numbers, man. 565 assists, 219 digs, 34 aces. We've talked a lot about Angelina Rotuno. We've talked to Angelina Rotuno, a very strong athlete at a Mooney, someone that can do it all for them. And her stats prove that. She's on second team.
Yeah, and we've had her on too, and a very well-rounded athlete that does a fantastic job for Cardinal Mooney. And one of the reasons why we say they play a tough schedule, she's been able to stay tough through the entire schedule, and that's what I think is going to make Mooney another one of those teams that's always going to be a tough out when the tournament rolls around.
Next on second team All-YSN, Maya Lee from East Palestine, 229 kills, 248 digs, 39 aces. The Bulldog gets on the list. Very impressive year for Mrs. Lee, and she gets on second team All-YSN.
Just got a chance to see Maya Lee actually for the first time this season not too long ago when they were at Waterloo, and I could tell you, Maya Lee, it almost seems like she has an iron shoulder with how much she could put behind some of those swings, and I mean, an emphatic kill getter. I mean, so much speed, so much force behind her swings, but also she reads the court very well, and that's the one thing I can absolutely credit her and say why she's deserving of being on this list is how she's able to read the court and realize when she needs to put a little bit more on it and when she could kind of fake it out and just go with a soft touch. And she's getting pretty good at the fake outs now, and that's what's making her even more dangerous.
She also has an uncanny ability to take over a game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, exactly what happened too in Waterloo. Exactly what happened.
I've seen her do it. DJ's seen her do it plenty of times.
I've seen her do it now.
So just that clutch gene, that leadership gene where she's able to just take over matches, and it's going to be a fun one. She still has, once again, opportunities to raise these numbers as East Palestine might be able to make a little bit of a tournament run this year. Next on this list is Maria Primavera from South Range, 229 kills, 222 digs. Anytime you have 200 plus in two categories, you're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, exactly why. I mean, you see 200 and get you some second team honors. So give her a round of twos for Primavera, and a very deserving round of twos at that too. And
Primavera,
yeah,
add it to your Monday.
As the South Range team that I think arguably has one of the best non-volleyball stories this year right now, volleyball team. You definitely see Primavera, one of those premier players on that team, and with good reason she gets some second team.
They're a dangerous team in tournaments because they play such a up schedule. Almost no Division III teams on that schedule, and now they're coming into a Division III tournament with 2 games against Girard, 2 games against Lakeview, 2 games against Mooney, 2 games against, et cetera, et cetera. They play a very tough schedule that is going to make them dangerous in the tournament. They will play at La Brea tomorrow night to open their tournament, but South Range, don't overlook them.
No, not at all. And I mean, they're one of those teams too. I mean, you take one look at South Range's trophy case, and I think you understand not to overlook any of the athletics there.
Next on the list, Julia Rapp from Columbiana, the senior and Big Dog of the Valley winner, by the way, earlier in the season. 189 kills, 28 blocks, and 51 aces for Julia Rapp. She gets on the list. One of the leaders of Columbiana volleyball, one of the reasons why they were second in the EOAC.
Yeah, get a clipper clap going, Anthony, because this is very deserving for Julia Rapp too. That clipper that is going to be represented too in the second team, and a very, very deserving one. We see Big Dog honors. Now she has some second team honors to add to a very impressive season for Rapp.
And this next player is someone that we've both gotten a chance to call a game from as well. Courtney Clark from Howland. Impressive numbers. 273 kills, 280 digs, and 51 aces. Courtney Clark has been the staple for the Tigers this year, and one of the reasons why they remain a dangerous team, despite what their record might tell you.
She's a gamer, man, and that's the biggest thing. It doesn't matter what the competition is. I mean, Courtney Clark's one of those players. She could be down by 2, she could be down by 20. It doesn't matter. She's going to come at you with everything she's got, and very, very tough too. Very strong-willed, very hard-minded in the fact that she doesn't give up on a play ever, and that's the one thing you could definitely credit Courtney Clark to, and that's why I think her hustle alone deserves her to be on this list, but her stats definitely help out, and with that, she definitely deserves her spot here on the second team list.
As we move on the list, Lauren Shingledecker from Brookfield, the only team to take a set from Crestview in the MVAC this year, and she's one of the leaders of the team's 225 kills, 179 digs, 34 aces for Shingledecker, a leader of a very good Brookfield team that will be heard of before the tournament is over.
Yeah, I think so as well. And Shingledecker, no doubt. I mean, when you take a set off of a team that has definitely been nothing but a powerhouse in Crestview this whole season, I think it's been very impressive. And Shingledecker has been very impressive this year as well.
The only MVAC team to take a set out of Crestview this year. Next, another player out of that MVAC tier that had a very successful season. Glad that she's now a part of the YSN family so we can shine a light on her. Montana Mcgranahan from I almost said Gerard. Garfield, 223 kills, 172 digs, and 40 aces for Mcgranahan. One, she's on the first team all-name team.
Yeah,
Montana Mcgranahan.
We've definitely talked about that one before. It's a great name with a great catchy ring to it, and a lot of stats behind it too. If you look into her volleyball career. And with that, you could add a second team all honors from YSN to it, too. Very impressive career.
You got some offense, you got some defense. I guess you could say Miss Montana gives you the best of both worlds.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, my God.
Couldn't resist. Could not resist. I apologize. Next on the list, by the way, we have Kel Seattleman from Louisville, someone that you've had a chance to call, a gamer for the Leopards. One of the reasons why they've had a second half surge on their volleyball team, they had a rough start, but man, they've won a lot of games of late, and they pushed Fitch to 5, right?
You see the growth in this team from game 1 to now, and I think that's the most impressive thing with the Lady Leps is how much they have really grown from facing these tough competition teams. And when I tell you, when they pushed Fitch to their limit, they really and truly pushed Fitch to their limit, and that's an impressive thing. And am I surprised? No, because Louisville, program-wise, has been one of the tops too, and it all started, we already know the name with Penny DeShields that laid a very good foundation there with years prior to, but I mean just great history with Louisville Leopards in the volleyball program, and that continues on again this year. They might not always have the best record, they might not always be the number 1 seed, but they're always going to be competitive, and they're always going to be a tough out, and there's no doubt that Adelman is one of those players that is a very, very tough one to get that ball by no matter what. I mean, digs, kills. I mean, she's all over the place.
183 kills, 178 digs, and 27 aces for Adelman for Louisville. She gets on the list, and she's right there. Next on the list from Austintown Fitch, Alyssa Leskovac, big dogs of the Valley winner. The ace queen for Fitch is she breaks the record for aces in a match and aces in a season. AAC champion, a lot to put on her banner, but now she can put second team all YSN on her shelf as well. 189 kills for Leskovac, 208 digs, and 68 aces. That's impressive, and it's enough to be the program record holder at Austintown Fitch.
Yeah, and 68 aces is something that, like we said, very, very impressive that Alyssa has been able to do this season as she now etches her name into the walls of Falcon history and lore for that very impressive volleyball program. But you also look at what Alyssa Leskovac's been able to do. I mean, you look at the on-the-court numbers, and as impressive as they are, too, and they are very impressive, I think the one thing that doesn't get measured in the box score is her leadership ability with this team, and I think that proves to be one of the most valuable qualities of Alyssa Leskovac is her ability to make everyone around her better on the court as well. And I think you can definitely see the improvements with everyone when they're playing around Alyssa.
And and one of the things, if there were like an intangible list where we could put intangibles,
absolutely,
that would be a big, just like we've seen it, you've seen it, the ability to just, like we talked about on some of the other players on this list, the ability to take over a game. We've seen it. The ability to say, I'm going to go get this dig. I'm going to go get this first pass. I'm going to make sure our team gets in system. Or on the other hand, I'm going to go get this set. I'm going to make sure that this ball goes down and we're not losing this point. That takeover mentality that Leskovac has is one of the reasons why she's so impressive.
And I mean, you had the big dog honors and now second team honors to her year as well. And having a very great senior year is Alyssa Leskovac.
Sydney Mercer from West Branch rounds out the second team all YSN division. Now, I am working with Penny DeShields to try to get her season stats. I have match stats. I don't have her season totals of yet, but we know that Sydney Mercer obviously committed to Mount Union. Very good athlete, strong athlete out of a very good West Branch team. And I am 100% positive that her season stats would line up with the players on this list. So, Sydney Mercer, congratulations. You are on the second team all YSN volleyball squad as well. And that rounds out the first and second teams. You will, once again, I'm just going to run down the second team real quick. Gianna Constantino from McDonald, Maggie Pavlansky from Lakeview, Angelina Rotuno from Mooney, Maya Lee from East Palestine, Maria Primavera from South Range, Julia Rapp from Columbiana, Courtney Clark from Howland, Lauren Shingledecker from Brookfield, Montana Mcgranahan from Garfield, Kel Seattleman from Louisville, Alyssa Leskovac from Fitch, and Sydney Mercer out of West Branch. That is your second team all YSN. We are not done, folks, because there is a lot of talent. There's enough for us to have an honorable mention list here on YSN, which are nothing to scoff at. These players are very talented in their own right, and we're just going to run down the list of players that we wanted to recognize this year for their accomplishments on the court. So bear with me. It's a lot of names. We're just going to run down the names and what school they represent. So Blake Thomas from Sebring, Maddie Lesnack from Springfield, Sammy Kelly from Lowville, Jenna Alexa from Boardman. You have Ashley Monroe from LeBray, who, by the way, is LeBray's program record holder for career assists. She has 1250 and counting for career assists for Ashley Monroe. Very impressive. She gets on the list. We want to give her some love. Riley McDonough, also from LeBray. You have Parker Wilkins, the impressive libero from Canfield, giving her some love as well. Tori Chapin, who just broke the record for aces in a season for United last week. She is on the list representing the Eagles. Taylor Skinner, who in my opinion is the best blocker in the NE8. Very tough conference. She gets on the list from Jefferson. A couple from Hubbard. You have Peyton Slavesco, a very impressive sophomore from Hubbard. And then you have Delaney Panigal, their senior libero, that has been just as impressive for them as well. Chloe Coates from JFK is on the list. Riley Troy from Salem. You made it. Your honorable mention all YSN. Lisa Eichert from Western Reserve. Hannah Loeb from Mineral Ridge. A couple more McDonald. Sherry Liz Bonilla from McDonald, their libero. Over 400 digs. That's impressive for defense from the McDonald Blue Devil libero. Also want to give a shout out to Megan Clockner from McDonald. She is on the list. She has plenty of double-doubles, and I wanted to get her name on there. Emma Hall, who just got into not the record books, but you could say the record books, I guess. She is fifth in program history in total sets played. She is just under 1,000 kills in her career, 850-ish, with more to come as she has a tournament run in her. Tori Long from Columbiana, the senior leader that has been doing so much for the Clippers, is on the list. Sophie Foster from East Palestine is on the list for honorable mention. You have McKenna Daly, a great dig getter for Lisbon. Always 20-plus digs every time I get stats from Coach Rask at Lisbon. You have Trinity Lamb from Ursuline. And last but not least, Logan Lewis from Niles, who early in the season got 1,000 career digs and came on our show to talk to us about that. So that rounds out the honorable mention categories and the all YSN first, second team, and honorable mention for volleyball. What a great accomplishment for volleyball. What great athletes we have. Talents very spread out, and we are happy to kind of shine a light on all these wonderful athletes on the volleyball court.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, deserving in every right and getting from first team, second team to honorable mentions. I mean, we've seen a lot of talent from the area. We've gotten to witness a lot of it. And these are definitely what we think are some of your premier players of the season. And hey, if you're a player that maybe thinks you might have been snubbed, hey, that gives you more the reason to come back even stronger next year and make us realize you. Because if we're not seeing you, because we try to see everyone, but if we're not seeing you, make us see you.
Yeah, and we worked very hard on this list. I take it very serious. I didn't just throw. We all took the executive staff. We didn't just throw names on the wall. So it's a list that we take pride in, and we are very confident in this list, and we want to congratulate everyone that made it. And we're not done, because we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come back with postseason awards. We have offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, freshman of the year, player of the year, and coach of the year. And we'll announce all of those after our first commercial break. Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the four words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Welcome back to the Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, Anthony Hartwig, alongside Ty Bartell. And this has been a wonderful Monday. We have announced the first and second team All-YSN winners for the All-YSN Volleyball Awards, along with the honorable mention. And if you have comments or want to give shout-outs to these athletes, you can on the comment section, brought to you by Boardman Mitsubishi. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch, we would love to hear from you. Ty, we are not done. We have postseason awards to give out. We have Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Freshman of the Year in volleyball. And you know what? Let's start out with the coaches. Does that sound right? I think so. We have co-coaches of the year this year because there was just no way to separate these two incredible seasons that these two coaches put together. And it is Jonathan Stokes from Wellsville and Alicia Auer from Crestview, both undefeated, both heading into the tournaments as one seeds. And they both just highly regarded coaches. And we can't tip the cap enough for all they do for the athletes at their respective schools and the support that they've put into YSN as well. So Alicia Auer from Crestview and Jonathan Stokes from Wellsville get the YSN Volleyball Co-Coaches of the Year this year.
Yeah, and well deserving. I mean, look at the record. That's all you need to really look at. And I mean, you see that they've been able to coach their program to the best of its ability, one so that there's not even a blemish on their record at the end of the season, the regular season. So keep it going in the tournament, but well deserving both for Wellsville as well as Crestview.
And Coach Stokes steps into the shoes of a legend, Dan McKinstry, that stepped away. And then Coach Auer has been just a part of this generational of Crestview coaches where we see her coach on the bench and Carl's the key coach as her assistants as well. So she's part of this coaching tree in Crestview that has built this outstanding volleyball program that hasn't lost a league game since 2015.
It's impressive. I mean, nothing short of impressive. And I mean, you can see it's definitely because of what's being built over there. And that program is fantastic.
And Wellsville, by the way, hasn't lost an EOAC game since 2017. So both programs at a very impressive level. Let's go with Freshman of the Year this year, and it is Abby Emsch from Crestview. Man, did this girl come onto the scene and light things up. 79 blocks for Abby Emsch for Crestview. That is more than anybody on our first or second team list as far as just the blocks category go. It's been very impressive out of her out of the middle, and she also has 198 kills to boot. So good on offense, good on defense. Abby Emsch gets your Freshman of the Year on YSN's volleyball list.
And we're not too surprised that the Emsch family makes an appearance too. And we kind of figured that before the season started that Abby was going to continue that long string of success for the Emsch family. And lo and behold, she has and earned Freshman of the Year honors because of it.
Defensive Player of the Year is Reagan Irons out of South Range. She has more digs than anybody on the All-YSN list. And that is why she gets Defensive Player of the Year. 431 digs for Reagan Irons out of South Range, and it's been an impressive season for her. She gets at least 20 digs a game, it seems like, every time we get the stats, and obviously what she's playing for this year. It's impressive that she's able to put those kind of numbers up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you don't really need to say much else than that. I mean, definitely deserving to iron will on defense is what I would.
I like it. I like that. So Reagan Irons, congratulations. Defensive Player of the Year. Now we'll go to Offensive Player of the Year, and it is Lauren Pallone out of Girard, 413 kills. That'll do it. That'll get you Offensive Player of the Year when you have over 400 kills on the year and you have 1,000 as a junior.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, no doubt Lauren is having herself a fantastic year too, getting almost half of those 1,000 kills this year. And I mean, who knows? 1,500 might be in the horizon for Pallone before the end of
think
the
it might. And I don't know how deep that record book of Gerard goes. I know it's a very proud program. It's been to state before. But we might see a new career kill getter, for the record books.
We'll have to check with our sources at Gerard and get that exact number on what the
We'll call up Phil Walters. We'll
Yeah.
get him on the list and
Walters will let us know too. But I mean, you got to figure too when you get 1,000 as a junior. Maybe she's close, maybe she's not. But I mean, you got to figure either way. That's still impressive, especially in modern day volleyball, with these athletes being as great as I think they've really ever been, and just continuing to get better in every sport, athletically and just scheme wise. We're learning so much more about ourselves. I mean, it's very impressive.
And without further ado, Ty, if you want to do a drum roll, we're going to do the player of the year. Abby Householder out of Canfield. You can't get around these numbers. 468 kills on the year, 348 digs. That's incredible. One, that's more kills than anybody on the list, and that's almost more digs than anybody on the list as well. Only behind a couple of liberos that get back there. The future Division I YSU Penguin out of Canfield, just been incredible this year. Has been absolutely lights out. 39 kills in their win over Girard on Thursday. That was like 2 days after they went 5 with Fitch at home in that knockdown drag out battle. So she digs deep. She gets her kills. She definitely does a lot for that team, and she gets the YSN Player of the Year this year in volleyball, and I think it's very well deserved.
I think it's deserved as well. And I mean, you look at the numbers, and numbers don't lie, stats don't lie. And I mean, those two in of itself, and you kind of look at Canfield's record, and I mean, you got to remember, you're not looking at the best, most developed team per se, or the best record, or who faced the best schools, or what have you. You're looking at the best player that put up the best stats. And I think Abby Householder, when you surpass 450 in kills and 300 in digs, and you're not even a libero, I think you're doing something right. So I think very well deserving for Householder.
So just to recap our postseason awards, co-coaches of the year, you have Alicia Auer from Crestview and Jonathan Stokes from Wellsville. The freshman of the year this year is Abby Emsch from Crestview, 79 blocks on the season for her, along with 198 kills. You have defensive player of the year goes to Reagan Irons out of South Range, 431 digs so far on the year for her. That is most on the YSN family, as far as I know. If I'm proven wrong, if someone digs out some numbers and says this girl has more than 431, then tip the hat to you, because you've done more digging than me, and I did a lot of research when we were putting together this team. So Reagan Irons gets 431 digs and defensive player of the year for South Range. Offensive player of the year, Lauren Pallone from Girard, 413 kills for Lauren Pallone out of Girard. She gets the offensive player of the year. And your YSN 2021 volleyball player of the year goes to Abby Householder out of Canfield, 468 kills, 348 digs, also 28 aces to go along with all that.
All deserving, and those are your first team, second team, and awards list for the 2021 volleyball season. And we're probably not done. I'm sure we got other sports lined up as far as later in the season is concerned, but don't worry, we're not done with that just there. But I mean, that is your volleyball ones for today, as of course the regular season ending. So we wanted to make sure we got the mentions out of everything. And how can you not be impressed with the numbers that we've seen? Volleyball is very prevalent in this area.
If you missed any of it, and if these lists will be on our website. These lists are going to go up as content on our website, and we'll also be sure to share stuff on social media too. So if by chance you did miss our announcement, you're kind of just tuning in, you missed it, and you're like, oh shoot, I missed it. One, you can always go back on YouTube and watch past shows. So as soon as this one stops being live, you can just go right back to YouTube and watch it. 2, it'll be on our website, and 3, it'll be on our social media channels as well. So no worries if you missed it. A lot of ways to catch up on these lists and these players that we have recognized today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, go out there and check it out too if you haven't seen it. As we went out there and we announced everyone that won every award, every first and second team, honorable mentions, basically broke down the entire volleyball season and who some of the premier names were out of it too. So go check it out too and listen to the breakdown too, as the executives work tirelessly on this. So definitely deserving.
We will tomorrow. We'll start to talk about volleyball tournaments because tomorrow is when it all kicks off. For some teams have to wait till Wednesday, but tomorrow we have plenty of tournament volleyball to talk about as well. So tomorrow's tournament mode. Today is reflection on the regular season mode as we recognize all these great athletes that got on first, second team or honorable mention, or were on the postseason awards list.
And tomorrow is going to be very fun too, because we're going to have kind of double barrel action with you. With that first hour is going to be kind of your tournament, and that second hour now is going to be your football. Baird Brothers, Big Dog of the Valley, and also we're going to have Coach Davis from Louisville as they got their big win of the season, and we're going to be talking to him as well.
I'll tell you, when we were doing the audible call and Steve was sitting in front of me and we had Anthony Malone in the studio as well and Mike and everyone here, we almost got locked into that Louisville game down the stretch because it was 28-27 and we were just praying and hoping that Louisville would get a win because we knew how bad they needed a win for program morale, for everyone to kind of take a deep breath, and they got that win. It was a hard-fought win over Alliance. I can't wait to talk to Coach Davis tomorrow about what that win means for the program. And, this has been a tough season record-wise, but you look at their schedule, and it's like none of these teams are they've lost to are slumps. Like, you shouldn't be ashamed to lose to any of the teams that they've lost to.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's just a foundation, kind of trying to set that foundation to rebuild that kind of program. I think Louisville is entered that kind of rebuild mode, and they need to start teaching some younger guys how to play leopard football and how things are going to be done too, and kind of start instilling that tradition back into them. But I think Louisville is not going to be too far off. They never usually are. But I mean, definitely excited to talk to Coach Davis for our first time this season and kind of see where that program's at now towards the end of the season. Can kind of see how much growth has happened from week 1 until now, because a lot of young talent on that team. So let's talk. We could talk to Coach Davis tomorrow about that as part of, like we said, double barrel action. Hour 1 volleyball, hour 2 football. We got you covered here tomorrow.
I'm excited because actually Coach Davis was one of our first guests way back in that week that I was solo, and you hadn't.
I haven't had the chance to talk to Coach Davis. Yes,
Coach Davis, one of our first guests that we've ever had on this new era of Running Point, now gets back into the.
But it's going to be perfect then, because you talked to him prior to. And we're going to talk to him now. So now we can get that full recap and see how much growth has happened. I think that's going to be a great conversation tomorrow with Coach Davis.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Shane Lindstrom will join us at 1:30 tomorrow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As like we said, we're talking football a lot in hour number 2, as we got some coaches, got some players on. So definitely going to be excited as part of, like we said, a volleyball football double barrel action tomorrow for Tuesday.
And boy, does Shane Lindstrom have a big game coming up in week 10.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to want to talk about that one.
I think it's a big game.
Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have.
Who they're playing? They're playing some team.
Yeah,
that's also undefeated.
I could make switch that gear thing from Friday to Tuesday if we get it. That'd be something. He's on, and you're wearing your Hubbard Eagles hoodie or hat. What's up, Shane?
Not happening.
Oh, I could be such a bad guy.
One, a lot of talk because you have to get that in my hands first.
Yeah, I know. I'm hearing from Romo that some gear is going to be given to DJ during prime time. So you're going to have some gear in hands Friday, buddy. You're going to have some gear Friday. Oh, don't worry. We knew we were coming at you week 10. Once you lost that bet, I was coming right at you week 10.
And let's just preface, it wasn't a bet, it was a promise. I want to because we don't bet on high school.
Well, not a bet. Yeah, exactly.
We're not in the shadows in the alleys. I just made a promise. Like it was the Hubbard Poland game, And it was like, okay, Hubbard just beat Mooney, I believe. I think they're coming off the Mooney win or something like that, or maybe it was 2 weeks before. And I said, okay, Poland had your number last year too. They've had your number for a while. I'm going to pick against you here. But if you beat Poland, then I believe in you as a team, and I will rock gear if you get it to me.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. And of course, I said it thinking, oh, they'll get me gear next week, or they'll get me gear in a couple of weeks. Here we are, week 10, and the South Range alum is going to have to wear a Hubbard hoodie during Running Point. But I will gladly do it because I am a man of my word.
The mastermind and the games man made sure that it orchestrated to week 10 where that gear finally came through.
You didn't say it until I brought it up last Friday. Like, you didn't say anything.
I was
until
thinking about it in the back of my head, and then you brought it up.
Of course.
I was thinking about it because
Guys, comment if you think that this was Ty's idea, or if you just think he's piggybacking off the fact that I stupidly brought it up on Friday. That's why I want to hear the comments.
Definitely, because the second that that Poland lost that one and Hubbard won it, and I knew you had to wear it, I was like, it has to be South Range. It has to be against his school because it's the only time. It's one of the only schools he won't pick against, and I have to pin him with Hubbard Eagles gear when he picks against. He picks them, so it makes him look like a weirdo wearing something.
No, you've put me in a rock and a hard space because whether or not I believe Hubbard's gonna win, I have to balance how bad it'll look if I don't pick Hubbard while wearing Hubbard stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You're wearing Hubbard Eagles gear, and you got to be like, well, I'm excited for it. Make sure you get that to him, Romo. I'm going to make sure you get that to DJ.
Don't miss Friday.
It'll be a fun time, too.
Oh, man.
Great matchups, though, this Friday, too.
Let's take the time to recap Week 9 before we start really diving into Week 10 because we had a really fun Week 9 and maybe a better Week 9 than people kind of anticipated. I know a lot of people were looking at this Week 9 schedule and saying, oh, ho-hum, we're just getting ready for these big Week 10 matchups. Not so fast, my friend. There were a lot of thrillers in Week 9, and a lot of teams pushed some big teams to the brink.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You also have to bring up the playoff speculation of where all these teams are sitting now, too, as we do recap the weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, the first game that I want to talk about that I think impressed me more than anything, Liberty at LeBray, or LeBray at Liberty, I think.
We called the close game on Friday. We said it was going to be a battle, and boy, was it.
I was so impressed with the Leopards. And you know what? Unfortunate mistakes, but I don't take a loss in that one if I'm Liberty too much to heart. I don't get as heartbroken because LeBray's now the number 1 seed in Division 6, and you were that close away from beating them. And I think that's a lot to say for
the heartbreaking thing, though, is now I don't know exactly where they're sitting in the playoff spots. We'll bring that up. But now they're playing Garfield, and I don't know if they can afford another loss.
Yeah, and right now Liberty sitting at 15, so still in the playoffs. The biggest ones that are right there that might have a chance at taking them.
I guess you got to look at who 17 is.
You're looking at Rootstown, and then Jefferson is 18. Jefferson, of course, playing Lakeview. So Jefferson still with a chance to maybe jump in there with the 4 wins. And of course, Rootstown is playing a 4-4 Wyndham team this week. So YSN teams can kind of help each other out. If the Wyndham Bombers can beat Rootstown, they can pretty much, you would think, be able to lock in Liberty into a playoff spot with a little bit of help.
Let's talk about this Liberty game. And back and forth it went. Liberty took a lead 28-21. LeBray came back, scored 2 unanswered touchdowns, took I believe it was 34-28 lead. They missed the extra point. Liberty ties it up at 34. LeBray goes down the field. Looks like they're about to score again. Liberty forces a fumble at the 1-yard line and recovers it. And then drives what would have been a 99-yard drive if they were able to finish that drive for a touchdown. And with 20 seconds left, DC Farrell's, he's getting out of the pocket, rolling around, and then all of a sudden, here comes, I believe it was Trayvon that got into the sack and kind of spun him around a little bit. It was an awkward-looking tackle, and then the ball kind of pops loose, and you see a senior pick it up, and a big man touchdown runs from At least the 30. I don't know exactly what yard line they were on. At least the LeBray's 30 runs all the way with a posse to the end zone to win that game. Oh man, like you can't write a script in a movie and picture a more exciting, thrilling, incredible way to win a football game.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Liberty too, and I mean, playing Garfield, this is definitely going to be a tough matchup. But you know what? You kind of look at what Garfield does really well, and yeah, they have a lot of size, and I'm going to be curious to see how that's going to match up with Liberty. But I think, and if you aren't, I think you're a fool if you're in Garrettsville looking at this Liberty team as an easy win. I mean, you're 9-0, and respectably, I think Garfield's one of the best teams. But I think after what they were able to do against LeBray, I think if your eyebrows aren't raised playing this Liberty team for upset alert now, I think you're sorely mistaken, because you see this Liberty team week in and week out constantly improving, and you see the defense constantly improving. And I don't care what the final score says. That defense did work against LeBray and did pretty good work for 4 quarters against a very good offense in LeBray.
They made the stops down the stretch because they were down 34-28 after taking that 28-21 lead. And they made a couple of key stops. Their teams got tied up. They made the fumble at the goal line. And for all intents and purposes, that defense put Liberty in position to win the game. They didn't give up that game-winning touchdown because that was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So their defense put them in position to win the game, which is all you can ask for a defense.
Yeah, and I think Liberty continuing to take the strides and sets up a very tough matchup. Of course, we know Garfield, not going to be an easy game for them, but they kind of control their own destiny, and if they do happen to drop this one, they might get some help and still be able to stay in the playoffs, and I kind of hope they do, because especially after what they were able to do against LeBray, I don't care if Liberty's a 16 seed or a 6 seed. I think it's upset alert when you see Liberty coming into the game now.
And here comes, if DC Farrell is watching or hears this, I want you to look into the camera, looking at you. Don't get too down about this. I know that's a heartbreaking way to lose a game. You fumble, you get the ball back, and it gets returned for a 70-plus yard touchdown. It's devastating. You played your guts out, man. As a freshman quarterback, you almost led your team down for a game-winning drive against the number 1 seed in that Division 6. Incredible job, young man. You had a freshman. You got 3 more years of eligibility. You're finding your targets. You're spreading the ball out. You're just doing everything that coaching staff is asking for you. If you're DC Farrell, you cannot put your head down. Honestly, I don't know if you were down or not. Like that would be a play. If it was a college football game or anything like that, that would be replayed. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he wasn't down or oh, he was down. You can't really tell from the angles that we got. But I will say it looked close enough that I am firmly believing that if it was like a big game and there were multiple angles and whatever, there would be a replay. And there would probably be some angles that show whether or not very clearly if he was down or not. So it was close.
Don't get upset. Get pissed. Go out there, get pissed, and go out there and try to win this one against the 9-0 Garfield team, because you know what they're bringing to the table, and you better bring much of the same too. And I think this is a Liberty team that could definitely clash with this Garfield team and hold their own.
Honestly, DC Farrell might be the most impressive freshman quarterback I've seen in a long time.
I think it's in. I think this last game was very impressive too.
I keep going, man. He's a freshman.
Yeah, and I mean it was definitely, I think, impressive this last game, and I think he definitely opened up the eyes of a lot of people too. But hey, it's number 5 versus number 15 this week, and what more can you ask for in another Week 10 matchup?
Chris Cunningham, by the way, also want to give a shout out to him. He has 4 straight games with 100+ yards receiving. He had 7 catches for 160 and 2 touchdowns. So if you're Garfield, your secondary better circle Chris Cunningham and make sure he doesn't beat you.
Yeah, absolutely. We looked at, there was some very fun, close games.
How about this overtime game in Crestview? I don't want to steal your thunder, but let's just go down some of the close games. Overtime in Crestview from Champion and Crestview.
Yeah, and that one was another one of those ones that
we talked about it, right? It was one of our premier matchups. We nailed it.
yeah, it was close, and it was huge too. Coming away with that victory did Crestview, and I think that was big for the program, honestly. And we knew it was going to be a tough matchup, and we knew Champion was going to bring the smoke, and they did, and they brought everything they could to Crestview. And I think Champion is probably one of the most dangerous teams with the most deceiving records, I think, in the area.
Yeah, I mean, they probably won't get into the playoffs now. I mean, I don't think they're in position to. We'll definitely take a look at it. But, yeah, their record does not show how good the Champion team is. They've had a gauntlet of a schedule, and they haven't been able to make those. We've talked about them a lot, those game-winning plays. Keegan McDermott, who was on the Baird brothers list this week, he had a 49-yard field goal to tie up the game before the end of regulation. That's impressive. 49 yards is a monster for a high school kicker.
Yeah, absolutely. And now all of a sudden, this week, it sets up a pretty fun matchup, I might add, too, with Crestview all of a sudden having to play, being a number 11 seed, playing Newton Falls, who's number 17 in Division 6.
Oh, no.
So you're going, I mean, playoff life is on the line now as far as Newton Falls.
For Newton Falls, yeah.
They're fighting.
Pretty impressive this week, too. They had another close win over Camel, 29-22.
Yeah, and I mean, another good win, 3 wins now on the year for Newton Falls, just on the outside trying to work their way in. And you know what? It's a situation, too, where Newton Falls is going to be bringing everything that they can, knowing that if they're able to get this win, they have a chance at making it in, with Wellington being above them and playing a Black River team that is 6-3 right now, so a tough opponent there. So have a chance, you do. It's going to be a fun.
There's a chance.
Yeah, it's going to be another one of those fun Week 10 matchups, though.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to continue to break down the Week 9 matchups and everything that went on in the weekend. After this commercial break, we'll be right back on Running Point Live, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, Anthony Hartwig, alongside Ty Bartell as we continue into the second hour of Running Point, and we make that turn into the second hour. I want to remind everybody that the comment section brought to you by Boardman Mitsubishi is live, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. You can leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. You can also call us on the hotline, 330-886-0813, the number to reach us. We have Brooke Talbot coming on at 1:45, the winner of the Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley this week on the volleyball side from Beaver Local, so don't miss that. But Ty, we have to recap the rest of this football week and the week that was in high school sports, the weekend that was, I should say. We talked about Crestview getting that win in overtime. We talked about the exciting one in Liberty. Man, Fitch had a pretty exciting one too, getting the walk-off field goal to win 17-14 at Boardman.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely a big win for the Falcons, too, as it now all of a sudden has painted their playoff picture pretty well, and they know, I think, a little bit better on where they're going to be. As far as the 8 seed is concerned, Fitch has now jumped a spot to the 7 seed, and with almost 4 points in between them and Harding being the closest at that 9 seed, it looks like Fitch, for all intents and purposes, with the win, has, for the time being, locked up a home playoff matchup. We'll see. If anything, they do play Harding week 10, is what's interesting, though.
Could they, if Harding beats them, do you think they could jump back to 8 and it could be double dip with Harding and Fitch in first round?
It's possible because Lyndhurst Brush is about 1.5 points average away from them, and they are playing a Division 5 though opponent in Lutheran East, so that's not going to help them at all as much as points are concerned, because a little bit lower point totals in a D5 opponent, where Fitch, obviously with a win against the D2 opponent, and looking at where the Falcons sit as of right now, I mean, I don't know if there's really enough for them to jump into Willoughby South territory now and jump up another spot, but still I think it would definitely, win or loss, I think Fitch is pretty solid as far as having a home playoff matchup. But the more important thing is, like we said, and we knew it was going to be a hard loss for whatever team loses. One was going to lose home field, one was going to lose a lot of ground. Boardman now drops from 12 to 16 now, and now it sets up a Week 10 matchup too, where if Boardman loses, let me tell you the margins on this. Boardman's numbers to the decimal, 7.1488. Kenmore Garfield number 17, 7.0957. So you know it's a case too where you win and you might be in. Boardman though plays Division 3 Canfield this week, and we know how hard Canfield's been this year, so it's going to be a tough game for the Spartans. We look at down though below at Kenmore Garfield, who has the realistic possibility of beating them, and they are facing a Firestone team that is 3-6, which interestingly enough, Firestone is the number 18 seed, so a little 17 versus 18 matchup outside of YSN. That's probably going to determine if whoever wins that one might have a shot at sneaking in 16. 15 maybe if there's some losses in there. Again, it's a situation where it's a lot of people fighting for those 3 spots because John Hay, Cleveland, and Ashtabula Lakeside are also in threat or in danger of dropping out of, I think, the playoff picture if they do lose.
Well, Boardman needs to win, and it's not going to be easy against
It's
Canfield.
not going to be easy going up against the Canfield team, but hey, it's a Boardman team that looked very good against Fitch's defense again as well.
And Boardman's defense played really, really well. I mean, allowing 2 touchdowns given up to Fitch, and I believe it was a Tyree Mitchell run and a Sherwood pass. So that's it. That's all you gave up. I mean, the defense for Boardman looked very good, and they have Canfield at home, if I'm not mistaken. So they will welcome Canfield into Boardman.
Yeah, and that's gonna let me double check on that real quick for you, just so we make sure we have. I think you might be right though. Let me double check. Yes, it is. It's going to be a home matchup. So with the Boardman faithful behind you, you could definitely pull this one off. The only issue that, and it's unfortunate because it's computer points, but one of the issues you might run into is that because Canfield's Division 3, Kenmore, Garfield, and Firestone both being Division 2 facing each other, they're going to get more points because you're beating a higher division opponent. But you look above them, though, I guess the other important thing, Lakeside is facing a Division 4 opponent. So it's a case where even if Lakeside wins and you win, it's pretty close margins. You still might jump Lakeside if you beat Canfield. And then same thing with John Hay Hornets. They're playing a Division 4 team above them. So it really is a case of there's a lot of variables that need to happen for Boardman to get in if they lose. Boardman needs to win this football game to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one to talk about as the week goes on. A big matchup for Boardman, but really a big rivalry matchup for Canfield as well as they look ahead. Let's talk about this. Usually we wouldn't talk about the score as being a marquee matchup, but 77-0 West Branch wins over Minerva. And the reason we're talking about this is because they broke some records, and you would expect that from a 77-0 performance. Stephen Mara, he had 3 touchdowns, which put him at 25 on the season, and that breaks the previous program record of touchdowns in the season of 23 set by Trey Hillier in 2015. It's not the end of it. Nick Wilson, the wide receiver for West Branch, got tying the record for touchdowns in a season. He has 14, and that ties Tom Samer. Then also another record broken, and it's from another player. Ben Tolson, 7 PATs, gave him a career total of 96, which breaks a record set by Scott Loudon from 1989 to 1991. So career PATs broken for Ben Tolson. Touchdown receptions in a season tied for Nick Wilson, and touchdowns in a season for rushing broken by Stephen Mara. So not really a surprise that some West Branch people broke some records in a 77-0 win, but that's the reason why we're bringing it up.
And we're going to bring all that up just to tell you it's Salem West Branch Week 10. And that's going to add a lot more interest and intrigue to it because you got some record breakers. This is huge, I think, going into it. And I think Billy Mack is right that Canfield does have a little bit more secondary points. So you might be able to get in because the computer point system, it is very dependent on all the divisors and everything. But we look at Salem West Branch, though, and going to that, it's 1 versus 4 in Division 4 right now. And that is all of a sudden bringing up a very interesting matchup here in Region 13 because if Salem wins, I mean, it's close, I guess, for Villa Angela St. Joseph. I don't know because they're facing a Division 3 opponent this week and a tough one, too, in Padua Franciscan. That is a Division 3 opponent. So I don't know if maybe you might be able to jump West Branch if they lose to Salem. And Ursuline's in that mix, too. You got West Branch, Salem, and Ursuline, respectively, at 1, 3, and 4. So everything's looking, I think, pretty good in Division 4 for YSN schools right now. As they are
pretty not too shabby. Yeah, West Branch is going to be hard to knock out of that one spot, too.
It would. I don't know if a loss would not. It would not knock West Branch out of the top 4. That's for sure. West Branch has far and wide locked in, I think, a top 4 spot in this one. But I'm not sure if Salem wins too, where Salem's at. I don't know if it's because it's about a 1.2 differential between their average and Ursuline. So I'm not sure if a win can get them to jump Ursuline. But Ursuline also, you got to remember, playing the Holy War. So Salem being a Division 4, playing a Division 4 opponent, but Ursuline's playing a Division 5 opponent. So playing down is going to get them less points because of the win. So there might be a possibility there after all said and done, but it's a case of just win and you could kind of control your destiny. But this is the one where I feel like there's a lot that could happen when it's 1 versus 4, because you might see these two teams kind of meet again before the playoffs are over.
And Ursuline got back on track too with that 48-6 win over East, by the way, on Saturday. So Ursuline got into the win column. I'm sure that felt good for those kids as well. But they head into a Holy War that you kind of take those records and you.
Yeah, it's Ursuline Mooney. What else do you have to say? Week 10. And we're excited for it as it's another premier matchup for Week 10. And, you know, the Holy War, I think you don't need to say a whole lot about it. I think everyone kind of knows about it, just like they know about another Week 10 matchup that we've already referenced. Hubbard and South Range are playing Week 10, Anthony, and they're both coming in at 9-0. And we talked about it since, I think, about 2 or 3 of the season. And we've been kind of speculating and fantasizing about this idea that these two teams can come in 9-0.
Really, when South Range beat Poland, that's when it was locked on, because we looked at both schedules and we said, okay, this is really the trains are going to a Week 10 matchup. Once South Range finished that Poland game.
It's gonna be a big game too, and not only just a big game because it's 2 matchups of 2 9-0 teams in the NE8, but a big game also because, like, if you look at the standings too, and of course South Range having to face a Division 3 opponent, so playing up a couple of divisions, and where South Range is sitting, it's kind of far back from Kirtland, about 6 points back. Oh, so Kirtland's kind of got that in, but what you need to worry about is Sugar Creek Garaway is about 0.3 points out of second place coming in for South Range, and they're facing a Division 5 opponent in 9-0 Ridgewood this week. So they're also facing a battle of a couple of 9-0 teams as well as the number.
9-0 Ridgewood, where do they sit in Division 5? Are they
so
in a different
9-0
region?
Ridgewood, well, they're in a different region. Okay. They're in Region 9.
I was going to say.
But Ridgewood is number 3 in their division, so you have a battle of 2 number 3s in different Division 5s outside of YSN coverage, of course, but still a lot of big matchups happening. But this is a matchup we need to talk about with YSN because it does have implications on the YSN schools around it too, because there's another big a matchup between 2 9-0 schools where if South Range is able to pull off their win, a loss is probably going to secure them that top 2 spot then.
I don't think South Range really cares if they flip-flop between 2 and 3, because either way they're setting up with Garaway in the semifinal, and it would be a neutral site, so it's not like they're banking on a home game. So of course you want to have that flag as the number 2 seed in the region planted. So, but I don't think they'd be extremely upset if they flip 2-3.
No, but it's still a game you definitely want to win and secure, because I think in a case of looking at this and looking where everything stands out, I mean, it's a difference between, as of right now, South Range between flipping 2-3 is a difference between Lutheran East and Liberty. Liberty if you're the 2 seed, Lutheran East if you're the 3. But obviously that can all change too with a week.
This is why I think this matchup is big on the South Range side. What does Hubbard love to do?
I mean, they love running the ball.
Okay. What does Kirtland love to do?
Yeah, I mean, you got a point there. You do.
Just saying, it's gonna really gear you up. The South Range is not gonna just look right to a Kirtland matchup, but that is the bugaboo. That is the big monster in Division 5. That's what you have to get past. And if you can take out Hubbard, who is running the ball probably better than Kirtland right now, stat wise, and Kirtland loves to run the ball. They're physical. They're the same kind of mentality. You might be preparing yourselves a little bit.
TC Caffey's on a one-man mission to carry this Eagles team as far as he possibly can.
Touchdown Central.
3. And you kind of have to. I mean, this is a Week 10 matchup that is going to be a sight to behold, I think, as far as what we're going to witness. And I think it's going to be a lot closer than maybe some fans from each side are thinking. I think this one's coming down to the wire.
Real quick, rewind back to West Branch real quick. They also clinched the EBC because Carrollton lost to Marlington. That was a very shocking score to see the Dukes pull up the upset of Carrollton. So there is no chance that West Branch could lose the EBC. They're playing for just straight-up bragging rights against Salem. There was a chance if Carrollton won that West Branch would have to win to clinch the outright title because Carrollton had one loss coming into last week. But the Marlington Dukes have thrown a monkey wrench into Carrollton's plans, hopes, and dreams. And Carrollton will now finish second, locked in, with 2 losses in the EBC. Actually tied with Salem if Salem's able to pull off that win.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. And you know what? I guess they've tried to throw monkey wrenches everywhere in that EBC, and there's been a lot of monkey wrench games that's kind of messed some things up. But I don't know what it is about the Warriors when it comes to trying to throw a monkey wrench into their system, because it just seems like I don't know if they have a bunch of a surplus of tomahawks there that they're able to just take and chop them away, but it doesn't seem like there's any kind of wrench that's throwing West Branch out of system right now. And I mean, they've dominated the EBC, and congratulations to the West Branch Warriors, well-deserving EBC champs.
The closest thing they came to was the non-conference game against Howland. That was the closest they came to losing.
Yeah. And I mean, West Branch has been mighty impressive, and keep on doubting them, and they're going to keep on proving you wrong, just like they did in years prior. I was a believer since week 1 of the season, and I think you were too. We were done not talking about West Branch being a premier team, and we've been talking about them since week 1, and they've been proving us right every week since.
Then I saw that offense.
Yeah.
I'm a believer. Okay, so we'll move on. There's another record-breaking performance that we have to point out, and it comes out of Western Reserve. They beat Sebring 56-22, but David Altier, who's a guy that we've talked about all season, he broke the record, Western Reserve record on senior night, with a stat line that goes like this: 337 yards on 15 carries, 6 touchdowns. That is a bunch of records for Western Reserve. And then you look at Noah Frederick and his brother Elijah, who also had very strong games as well for Sebring. This was a running on display, but David Altier breaks some records at Western Reserve.
And you know what? It's well deserving too for everything David Altier has been able to do. We talked with Coach Lude.
This is from Aaron Moser, by the way. So thank you for him for bringing these stats to the table. The record was for most rushing yards in a game with 37, and 6 touchdowns in a game was also a record for Western Reserve. So David Altier, congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, David Altier, Coach Lude said it before. He's a dynamic runner, and he is definitely special. And Western Reserve able to kind of flip that script on their whole season, and has now all of a sudden put themselves in fantastic spot now playoff wise. And you look at that too, and I want to just bring up where they're ranked real quick. Ranked all the way up at 11 for a team that started out 0-3, and everyone was kind of hitting the panic button a little bit too early. Western Reserve is 5-1 in the last 6 weeks.
And that one loss came to the monster Springfield that everyone seems to be losing to. Let's do the math on that. 337 yards on 15 carries. That averages out to about 22.5 per. It's ridiculous.
That is. It absolutely is. And I mean, you look at what he's been able to do week in, week out. Great line in front of him, but uses those blockers. Very patient runner, very smart runner. And you know what? Give all the credit to David Altier. He's special.
I think the offensive coordinator is sitting up in the booth with a PlayStation controller is doing this.
Yeah, feels like it, right? I mean, there's something. He's putting the turbo.
Right, we're gonna run Altier to the right. Hit stick, boom, circle, spin move. Okay, he's gone.
Feels like he's Bo Jackson from Tecmo Bowl.
That was the cheat code.
Yeah, he feels like the cheat code when David Altier steps on the field.
That was this. You go like this with Bo Jackson, no one can tackle you. It just kills me that he was a Raider.
Yeah.
Play baseball in Kansas City and you make us all proud. And you go play for the Raiders. It's like,
yeah. And your Chiefs are the one that took his football career away from him.
No, it wasn't the Chiefs. It was the Bengals.
Well, I thought it was the Chiefs he had his dislocated hip in.
No, I'm almost certain it was the Bengals in that game. I don't think it was Kansas City.
We'll have to check on that one. Anthony, I think, is defending Kansas City tooth and nail.
No, really. Paul Munson will be able to say he's a Raider fan.
Yeah, Paul Munson, I'm sure.
Paul, if you're out there on the airways, tell us. I'm pretty sure they were playing the Bengals. So we'll wait and see if Paul gets us, or if anyone in the comment section, brought to you by Boardman Mitsubishi, good plug right there, wants to hit us up with what team Bo Jackson was playing when he got hurt. I'm pretty sure it was the Bengals.
No, you're right. You're right. It was 91 versus the Bengals. Too bad it wasn't a stump tie question. You could have got me on that one. Doesn't count as points. It's not Wednesday.
I get a point. That's what I get because I got the trivia question right.
You get a trippy point is what you get. You get a pride point. No, that's a good. No, you're right though. I mean, but looking at that though, got a little bit off track. Looking at what David Alter's been able to do though, yeah, it's that speed, that power blend, reading the line, using his blockers, being patient, and I mean he does a great job, and he's used in a multitude of ways too. Can also catch the ball a little bit too, which is very, very impressive.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. He's very good out of the backfield as well, which I think is something that doesn't go noticed. He also,
especially at the high school level too.
Speaking about him in the passing game, he's a good pass blocker. When Western Reserve needs him to pass block, they don't pass a lot. Let's just
they're Western Reserve.
When they do, teams are coming at the quarterback trying to blitz because they're probably gearing up for the run. So he serves as a really good extra blocker back there as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, honestly, what we've seen from Western Reserve this year, too, and David Altier, I mean, it's kind of like the TC Caffey of Division 6 is kind of what David Altier has been this year. And, I mean, very impressive week in and week out.
All right, Gerard gets the big win over Struthers, probably locks them into a playoff spot. We were talking about this on Thursday, previewing the week's games. Gerard was at that 13 spot going into this week. We figured a win would put them in a spot where they probably couldn't get knocked out of a playoff spot, and a loss would put them down to where this week would be a must win. They get the 31-12 win over Struthers, and I'm pointing this game out because Nick Bengala, who stepped in at quarterback, played a heck of a game. They both go over 100 yards rushing and score a pair of rushing touchdowns apiece, and Gerard wins 31-12. So Bengala, you stepped up, young man, as someone that was not the starting quarterback at all to begin this year. We talked about the injuries that have plagued Gerard. They've tried a couple of people at quarterback. Bengala stepped up in a must-win game. Not must-win per se, but a very big win for Gerard as they beat a really good Struthers team 31-12, and it snaps a 4-game losing streak as well.
But it sets up, too, and you know what is very interesting? Gerard, even with the win, because of the teams that got some bigger wins around him, dropped to 14.
Oh, no.
So now they're a 14 seed.
I still think they're locked.
They're pretty much, I mean, you look at the 14 seed and where Gerard is, averaging 9.51, rounded up. Next one below him, 8.95 at 15, 8.50 at 16, and then 17, 6.38. So it's a little bit of a drop off from there. But Gerard again playing a Division III Niles team, and I don't know if you guys remember or not, Niles happens to still be 17. And Niles is trying to get on the inside of the playoffs, so this sets up where Gerard, I don't know if they lose and they're out, but you definitely don't want to lose. That would be very, very heartbreaking, and you might be at the risk. But Niles, if you lose, they're definitely out. But there's so many. Division III is wrapping up.
The Niles didn't lose any ground after losing the Hubbard, right? They're still at 17.
They're still at 17.
Did they lose the gap? Like, is there a bigger gap now between them and 16?
There is a gap, of about 3 between Harvey and Niles too. So
it's hard to make up.
That is going to be very hard to set up. But I mean, it's still a case too where Niles needing to try to get wins on their schedule too, and it's going to be a tough matchup too for Gerard. As even if you can't get in, you could definitely still spoil Gerard's season and put them in a way worse position going into the playoffs.
This is where Niles being Division III hurts them because Gerard is a 4 team, not going to give them as many computer points as they would like if they get this win. And unless Harvey loses, that I don't think they can get it.
Yeah, realistically, needing that a lot of points too. And Harvey is facing an 8-1 Lutheran West team in Division 4, so a possibility. But yeah, some things definitely gonna need to happen to sneak in.
You wonder how many points to win over Girard would give them.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many it would be because I mean Division 4, and I mean you kind of look at the divisors too.
Division 4
divisors, still 98 for Girard. So I don't know if I still don't know if it's necessarily enough, but we'll have to see. It's definitely one that Niles needs to win for sure to be winning.
Nitty gritty. Antoine Gardner, by the way, ran really well against Hubbard despite the lopsided score, of course. Antoine Gardner is putting together a very strong season in a team that really, remember, we've talked about it before, Niles struggled to find their identity in the first couple of weeks, and then they decided we're a running team. Like we were a passing team last year. We had Zach Leonard. That was great. It was a great era of Niles football. We're not that anymore. Let's ride Antoine Gardner. And they've done that, and he's been pretty successful this year.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what? Out of all of them, I think one of your most interesting, your lower divisions are going to be interesting, I think, going into this week. And we'll talk about them, too, for the most races as far as we're talking about teams still trying to get into the playoffs right now, into the top 16. I mean, you're looking right now in Division 6 in our region, ones that still have a chance. We already talked about Newton Falls. Mineral Ridge still has a chance, even with the loss to Lowville. So if they're able to get that game, I think that if they're able to play this week, Waterloo was supposed to be on the schedule, but from what I'm hearing, I'm not sure if that one is still canceled. I thought what we heard is that one is what we're hearing is.
Yes, Waterloo canceled last week and this week. So
yeah, that's what I thought we heard last week. I wanted to just confirm that. So looking for an opponent, though, but it's still a chance for Mineral Ridge to get in. And, I mean, Trinity is a case, too, where Trinity and Wellington can both drop a game this week. And Trinity facing Gilmore Academy. So still a chance for not only one, but two YSN teams in Mineral Ridge and Newton Falls in Division 6 to squeak into the playoffs for Week 10. And, of course, we know the matchups, respectively, in Mineral Ridge looking for that opponent. But we already talked about what Newton Falls has in front of them in Crestview this week.
Yeah, and Newton Falls, they kind of put it together against Campbell. They looked like a better team than they had in the last several weeks. So could be a lot more interesting matchup than people will think.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I mean, we talk about, too, other divisions. We know Division 7's wrapping up to be pretty close. Not too many YSN schools in that mix. Wyndham's had a chance, too, at 15 that they need to try to get a win this week to secure their playoff spot. But Division 5, we talked about, too, Liberty hanging on at 15, Jefferson just on the outskirts at 18, but still a possibility, especially facing a Lakeview team that they can sneak in still. And Rootstown facing, again, we said, but here's the big thing, too. And we got to look at this, and I think this is going to be important for Division 5 because if you're Jefferson, you're playing a Division 4 opponent in Lakeview this week. It doesn't matter. Division 4 is going to get you more points. Rootstown is playing a Division 7 team in Wyndham this week. So regardless, Jefferson and Rootstown separated by not too much, less than a point. You could jump Jefferson. Jefferson could jump Rootstown even with both teams coming away victorious, just because you're playing up 3 divisions from what Rootstown's playing.
On the other end, Lakeview is our they're second to last. We have 2 teams in the YSN family that are still looking for that first win. Lakeview is a team that, man, would this be a big time for their first win because they would spoil. You play spoiler. You stop one of your rivals from getting into the playoffs, and we've believed in what Coach Bellino has been doing all year. We still do, and this could be a big opportunity for Lakeview to get their first win of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Lakeview wants to play spoilers right now, and there's nothing they want more. And I could tell you assuredly that you beat Jefferson here, you've definitely eliminated any possibility. I mean, they're already outside right now, and a loss definitely takes them out of the playoffs. So Lakeview is definitely going to be gunning to take Jefferson out of the playoffs. Jefferson going to have to come prepared, needing to get that 4th win on the season to kind of try to give themselves a chance to make that Division 5 playoff.
Lakeview made South Range fans nervous for about 10 minutes because Lakeview went down and scored the first drive and put South Range down early, which is something they're not used to over at South Range. So I could hear the collective heartbeats in Cortland from South Range fans going, okay.
Big thing too on this matchup, and I think it's one that we have to talk about too, because I think it's big for both programs, especially going into this one. As far as both Jefferson and Lakeview are concerned in this season, let me just double check too what we had from one season ago. I just wanted to make sure I was right on this one. So this is going to be the first time since even last year too, because Lakeview beat Grand Valley. One of these teams is going to get a big win too over an NE8 opponent this year. So both these teams, this is a chance for both of these teams to get their first win in the NE8, a very, very tough conference this year. And I think that's impressive for just one fact that these are two teams that are building their program. And I think that comes with needing to win in your conference is a huge part in building that program and getting that success and getting those things rolling. So this is a huge thing. Obviously, Lakeview not in a chance to make it. Jefferson is, but it's still big for both of these programs. One of them is going to get their first win over an NE8 school this week.
And you know what? Jefferson, they were in the playoffs last year, but everyone was. So this is the first year in a while that program has been able to say we're fighting for a playoff spot. They can get into a playoff spot and say, we earned this playoff spot for the first time in a while. I don't know how long it's been since Jefferson's been in the playoffs, but I'm going to guess it's been quite a bit.
Yeah, and you know what? Jefferson's been that team that's been trying to rebuild their program, and this would be a huge step too. And like we said, not a guarantee that you make it. You might need a little bit of things to happen, but still a case of you win and you can kind of control your own destiny and set yourself up with, I think, great opportunity. Because like we said, I think even with a win and Rootstown's win, you jump from 18 to 17 with that. And then you just need a loss from one of four teams that are in that 12 to 16 spot, and a loss there probably will put you into a spot, and that would be huge for the Jefferson Falcons.
You know, and Jefferson, man, they're a team that started off so good. 3-0, they looked very good. Then they found out how hard the NE8 was, and God love them. The first 2 weeks in the NE8 were tough. They took down Girard. They were down 28-0. They came back and they led 34-28, and they just gave up the last second drive for Girard to go up 35-34 and win that game by, I believe, 1 point. I mean, there were some tough games right there in the first 2 weeks of the NE8 season. Didn't go Jefferson's way, and now they're sitting still because of all that with a chance to get into the playoffs, even though they're just a 4-win team. Well, a 3-win team would be a 4-win team. Yeah,
and you know what? Like we said, that's a testament to how good Division 5 teams are playing. And I mean, playing in the NE8 also helps because you're playing up a lot of divisions, especially if you're Jefferson or South Range being the only two Division 5 teams in the NE8. So you're constantly playing up divisions in your schedule. And I think that's going to be, that's an important part too. But you look at everything that Jefferson's been able to do, with the exception of some very good defenses. And I think you can see, and I think it's very clear in where they struggle with and what Jefferson struggles with and where they need to get better, because you see the 2 games where they scored the lowest amount of points this season and were blowouts, Hubbard and Poland. And what does Hubbard and Poland have? Strong front defensive lines, and defensive lines that get good pressure on the quarterback, defensive lines that are going to blow up that line a little bit and get to your runner. And I think if there's one thing Jefferson wants to look at to improve on going forward, that's going to be one of the areas to kind of compete with. Other than those games, South Range, obviously, they were able to put up points, but still scoring 21 points on South Range's defense is impressive too. And sticking with them for a few punches there for Jefferson, I think that was impressive for this program. We know what
it was 14-14. Like, they were right there. Couple mistakes opened the doors, and South Range kicked them down. But you stay away from those mistakes. That could have been a really competitive game.
And the biggest win they have, a win over a Painesville Harvey team that right now is sitting in the playoffs right now in Division 3. That's a win. And that one too, because they played a Division 3 and a win over a Division 4 school. Those 2 wins alone are what I think is keeping Jefferson in the talks right now.
I think they'd argue that no matter where Edgewood stands right now, I don't know where they are, but that's the first time they'd beaten Edgewood, who's a big rival in Ashtabula County, in a long time. So that's a big win for the program too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and that was a big win for them too, over a Division 4 opponent as well. So you got to win over a Division 4, 5, and 3 opponent. And this is another opportunity for you to get that win over Division 4. And we've already seen winning up against divisions do in the playoff whole point scenario and scheme is concerned. And I think it's a case too where Jefferson wins. Loss might need to happen from 12 through 16, but they have a chance to make it.
It's going to be real interesting when we talk about Week 10 a little bit more down the week. We're going to take one more break. On the other end, we'll talk to this week's Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley winner on the volleyball side, Brooke Talbot from Beaver Local. That's coming up next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers, and we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, in cybersecurity, when natural disasters happen, we are there in space. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
My guy keeps it 100% of the time. He wants all 100, won't settle for 99. And it's more than stats, because there's people in those numbers. And I was one of the lost sheep. I'm so glad he cares for all 100. I'm 100% safe, 100% free, 100% love. I can be 100% me. He gave all 100 when they put him up on that tree. That's 100% passion for 100% free. So if I play in front of 100, or if I play in front of 2, there's an audience of 1 getting 100% of what I can do.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience, WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealth.com. Good luck, athletes.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. And as we take this time to welcome in one of our Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley winners, this one coming from Beaver Local, again, their second win of the year for the volleyball team, and it is Brooke Talbot joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We love our talks with Beaver Local Volleyball. It seems like they're having it more and more.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this community before we dive into your season and everything. Obviously, they're once again able to vote you guys the top of this Big Dogs list. What does it mean to have this Beaver Local community back you guys up the way they do, and know that when you guys get on the list or whatever you guys are doing, they are supporting you in folds?
It's honestly really cool to have the whole community voting for you and rooting for you. And like, you don't really notice like how many people really back you up. But whenever you win like a Big Dog of the Valley or like any type of award, like your community is backing you up. And it is really nice to have that kind of support.
Talking about that community a little bit, describe to me, because I haven't had the opportunity to witness it yet this season, but we know what Coach Lowe's program does over there. But explain to me what it's like being in a Beaver Local volleyball game and the kind of support and energy you guys kind of get game to game now, because you guys now 2 Big Dog winners on the court. So there's definitely a lot of support for the volleyball team in Beaver Local.
Well, starting with like our student section, this year has really stepped up a lot, just with how just a couple weeks ago, Grace Hill was nominated for Big Dog of the Week, and she won. And now there's a chant that, like, you can't climb the hill in our student section, and that really pumps us up. And then all of our parents just cheering us all on, and including all the coaches. Whenever we all do something great, like, you can hear all of them on the sidelines, like, cheering us on and just supporting us. And it's really nice to be a part of the program.
Well, now they're going to have to make up a chat for Brooke Talbot because you're the second winner of Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley. So they're going to have to come up with a student section chant for you as well. This team has put together such an incredible season. And when you look at the stats for this whole team, it's so balanced. Like, you're getting contributions from everyone on the court. Talk about what it's like to play on a team like that where you don't have one superstar. You don't have one player getting 400 kills or anything like that. You have a bunch of players that are just going out and executing their role.
It's really nice being a setter. You have all of those options. You don't have to just set one person. And you can kind of trust anyone on the court to make a good play on the ball. And it's really nice to have a program like that, because if you have the one player, they might have an off game and then your whole team just goes down. But with Beaver Local, we have 6 all around players on the court. And then we also have our whole sidelines that could be ready to go in at any position, which is really nice.
A follow-up to that, since you are a setter and you have so many players that can hurt people on offense, how do you balance spreading out the ball to so many players, but also trying to find out who's hot that night and who has the hot hand and trying to get them as many sets as possible?
Kind of seeing how their body language is on the court, because you can kind of notice, I'm sure in the stands, you can kind of see who's like in their head the most. And it's the same on the court. You can see which one's in their head. And typically if you're in your head more, you're not going to be putting the ball down as much. So you kind of choose whichever one's not in their head as much.
Looking at this too, and you being the centerpiece of the offense, and we talk about how there's not really that one player that has all the kills, and it's more of a balanced attack. Talk to me then, because since it is such a balanced attack, you guys must have a fantastic chemistry with each other. And I think Coach Lowe has highlighted this and how close the Beaver Local community and volleyball family is. But to hear it outside from a coach's perspective and from a player's perspective, what is that family and that Beaver Local volleyball chemistry kind of like with not only your coaches, but the other players as well?
We are all best friends on and off the court. We all talk throughout the school day, like in our group chats, and we all sit together at lunch. And just before the OVAC match, the final match, we had a Zumba with the whole team. And it was just kind of a really good bonding experience, because we've done it multiple times throughout my 4 years of high school. And it really brings us all together and just kind of shows us like what a true family is in volleyball.
Let's talk about Coach Lowe. We've had her on the show several times. We get to obviously know why that she is so respected in the volleyball community. Talk to us about what it's like being under her and maybe some things that we as media members don't get to see of her outside of what we see on the sidelines.
She really does care about each and every player, and she tells us that we're all like her kids, and she treats us all like her kids. She has very high expectations of every one of us, and she knows what we're all capable of. And if we're not putting our best foot forward, she really gets on us about it. And it's really nice to have a coach that cares about you that much.
Talk about getting these honors too. And I mean, obviously you look at your senior year and you look at everything you've been able to do with Beaver Local Volleyball, and giving a reflection a little bit about what you've been able to do, not only with the volleyball, just being in Beaver Local's community. Just give a little bit of a reflection about your Beaver Local experience, both on the volleyball court and outside in the classroom as well.
It is really nice to be at Beaver Local and having all of the opportunities that we get, and just like through the teachers, like how willing they are to help. It's just really nice that we can go to any teacher and talk about any problems that we have, and including with volleyball, any of the coaches are willing to help you with anything that you need help with. And it's just really nice to have that kind of backup.
Have there been any teachers specifically throughout your high school career that have really helped mold you into not just the athlete you are, the person you are, but the student you are as well right now?
Carrie Miller. She is definitely like my backbone. I don't know what I would do without her.
Taking a step away a little bit from the reflection and looking back onto the volleyball court now, no doubt you guys 19-3 on the season, one of the best premier volleyball teams I think in the area. Going into these playoffs now, looking at what this team has been able to do and so successful, so tough all season, what are some improvements that you think the team needs to make to just try to get better and push them through this tournament?
Definitely getting in our heads. That is a big component in how the scores kind of end. And I feel like the placement of the ball, we have been doing a lot better with that. But whenever we get into those big competitions with the better teams, I feel like placing the ball is going to be kind of one of our biggest strengths that we need to have. Because whenever you're up against that strong defense and the strong block, you're going to have to know where their holes are to score your points.
Tournament games are much more spread out than regular season games. Might have a game on Tuesday, then you might have another game on Saturday, whatever it may be. What's it going to be? How important is that going to be for this team to get practice time in the gyms between games and be able to really work on stuff that they saw? And something that you don't really get to do during the season. You might have 3 games a week and not really get a lot of practice time. Now for tournament time, you really get to work on the things that you saw from match to match, and you'll have legitimate gym time to get in and work on them.
Definitely having that practice time is going to help us. During that rut that we had where we lost a couple matches in a row, that's whenever we weren't having those practice times. And I feel like getting in that gym and having the practice time to work on our weaknesses and capitalize on our strengths, that's going to be a big component to how our tournaments turn out.
Talking about it from an upperclassman's perspective, and I think one of the most impressive things that Coach Lowe has been able to do is constantly keeping talent flowing through this program. So that way it never has a lapse year. It's constantly competitive. Talk to me about some younger players, freshmen, sophomores that you've seen from a volleyball player's perspective that have really surprised you this season and that you think with even maybe a little bit of work can really push themselves to be that superstar.
I don't really have an in particular underclassmen. I feel like all of them contribute a lot to our volleyball program. Even just scrimmaging against our varsity team, like it's just all coming together as one. Like I don't really know how to word it, but there's not one player that is better than the other. We're all equally good.
Which makes sense too, because we look at the volleyball team, Anthony, and we see they're pretty good all over the spot as well.
Brooke, before we let you go, tell us, do you have any like pregame routines that you like to stick to, or pregame routines that if you don't do, you're gonna feel off for the whole match?
I'm sure a lot of people notice this, but I always wear my hair in this one weird bun, and whenever I don't wear it in that bun, I either play really bad or like last time I didn't wear it, I hurt my ankle. That's definitely one that I have to do.
I didn't want to bring it up until you did, but yeah, it's a very unique hairstyle that you kind of rock out for the games. Where did that come up? Did you just were you messing around with your hair one day and went, this looks good, let's go with that?
I noticed that whenever I was wearing a ponytail that my hair would get caught in my eyes. So I kind of a lot of people do it. I've seen it in a bunch of volleyball tournaments. And I was like, I wonder if that'll keep my hair out of my eyes. And it actually did. So I stuck with it.
All right, Brooke, you and Grace Hill, both winners of Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley. Now you're both up for Baird Brothers Player of the Year. How is Beaver Local going to pick who to vote for?
I don't know. It's going to be a tough pick.
Oh my God, they're gonna break our systems. Is what they're gonna do. We're gonna have to reinforce our systems. Jeez. But no, absolutely. We've been definitely excited to talk to you, Brooke. And I mean, we know that your career at Beaver Local has been one of the impressive ones. We're excited to see you guys featured in the playoffs. And I guess my final question for you. Just kind of give us a little bit of insight on what your plans are kind of after high school. What are you kind of thinking of? It doesn't need to be career-wise or anything. It could just be kind of what are some plans, things you want to do after high school?
I am going to Teal College, and I'm going to be playing volleyball. And I do plan on going for early childhood education. And that's about it.
Congratulations on that commitment to Teal. I saw you posted that last week. You're going to be joining a couple of other familiar faces in the YSN family, Maria Torres and Katie Stamp and Danielle Olet also down there that represented YSN so well for the last 4 years. So congratulations on that commitment, and we look forward to continuing and following your career in this tournament run. Good luck on everything you do.
Thank you.
As we were definitely excited to have her on too. And I heard about the news. I saw it swirling around social media. I kind of just wanted her to talk about the commitment too and the excitement as, another one of those Beaver Local volleyball players that's going to continue have 4 more years to play at the next level. And I mean, you could see what Coach Lowe does. I mean, so dedicated, and she produces college level volleyball players. And I mean, that's just one thing she's good at doing.
Ty, that's a very high-level interview skill. You always let the player break that kind of news because it's always important for that. So kudos to you, my man.
I wanted her to say it too because it's an exciting thing too. Anytime an athlete's able to play at the next level, they should be able to announce that and say it in a public forum. So I think that's a very exciting news. Teal College, I think you got a very, very good pickup.
Teal has owned this area. I mean, Maria Torres goes there for Martin. She's making an impact. Katie Stamp's there. Danielle Olet's there.
It's like they grabbed a couple and they're like, oh, I like that area. Let's keep grabbing from there.
I hope they're watching YSN during all their recruitment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to Teal.
We got you covered through all kinds of volleyball talent. We just announced some of the best ones today. So if you haven't gone out and gotten them yet, get out there and get them.
There's some underclassmen in that list.
Yeah, get out there and get some offers. Get some offers. We talked to you. We gave you the breakdown for them. Get them some offers.
All right, that'll do it for today's episode of Running Point. On tomorrow's edition from 12 to 2, we'll talk to Coach Davis from Louisville at 1 o'clock, and we'll also talk to Shane. Shane Lindstrom, the Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley winner from South Range at 1:30. Don't miss it. We'll also be talking volleyball tournament time because it starts tomorrow. Tomorrow from 12 to 2. And now coming up is Casual Sports Podcast 2 to 3 and Power Hour 3 to 4. So until tomorrow, me and Ty, we're going to say see ya.